Welcome back to the 103.1 KISS FM Community Connection. Of course, I'm here with Mr. Tony Austin of TA Sports Consulting. And in the last segment, of course, we talked about the fact that there are many athletes out there who want to go to college. And Tony is here saying, listen, you can go to college and you can play sports. You may not be the superstar on your team, but if you are a good athlete and if you have decent grades, you can go to college. Now, Tony, talk about the importance of grades. Have you seen grades help somebody, and have you seen grades hurt somebody?
Yes, sir, most definitely. As a matter of fact, I think the first seed was planted within my mind as a 7th grade, I want to say. There was this outstanding running back from Waco High, I'll never forget. This young man had everybody recruiting him. And at this age, you have to understand, I was just thinking that all you have to do is be a good athlete in high school and graduate.
Right.
And then I remember seeing on the news that this young man cannot attend this Division I university that he signed to because his SATs or ACTs are not high enough.
Right.
So I was thinking to myself, like, man, okay, well, what all do you have to do? So I started doing my own research. So I took it upon myself at that young age because of the fact that I was so motivated to one day want to play college sports. So with that being said, I saw other young men that were not as good as student athletes, but were some of the top students in their high school class.
Right.
Which impressed a lot of college coaches. Okay, they were decent enough to play college sports, but that transcript is what really sold the college coaches on them.
So what you're saying is, even if you're not a great athlete, grades can help you get there.
Yes, sir, most definitely.
And I guess now more than any time, because now there's so many scandals going on college campuses, which I'm pretty sure you probably know more than we want to hear. But and character is a big issue on all levels of sports. If you're matter of fact, one of my good friends, James Whitley, he played in the pros, and he told me the thing that got him there was he was a really good athlete, of course, but he wasn't a top-notch guy. But he said the St. Louis Rams, when they filled out the bottom of their roster, which is where he was at the bottom of the roster, they wanted character guys. And he said they picked me because they figured I'd be a good character guy. They knew I wasn't going to be a cancer to the locker room, and you know, and that's kind of what got him at the pro level.
Yeah. And Lamar, you and I both referee football,
right?
So let's keep that in mind. So kids should understand, you never know who's watching. Yeah. Sometimes when we throw those flags that the fans or the athletes themselves may not want to see, sometimes your reaction can be a big time turnoff. Yeah. I remember a few years ago, one of our good referee buddies, when he threw a flag on the kid that was this big superstar athlete, he didn't like the call, and he threw the ball at the official.
What?
And to his dismay, he didn't realize that 8 scouts were sitting in the bleachers watching him.
Oh, man.
Okay? And it turns out that he lost all of those 8 offers.
Wow.
Okay? Because of this bad persona that was displayed on the field. Okay, so sometimes, again, young athletes, they have to make sure that they keep those attitudes in check. Yeah. Because number one, anything that may be considered a cancer, as far as your personality, can weed you out of the recruiting process.
Wow. Yeah, because and even these athletes have to remember that, you know, just because you're the man on your high school team, there are a lot of high school teams out there, and there are a lot of the mans on those teams. So you are just one of many.
Exactly.
I mean, really, you are one of a whole lot of good.
Dime a dozen, like
there are a lot of good athletes out there. Like you said, your grades and your character are what can set you apart. Yeah. Okay, Tony, tell us some people that you've worked with. Maybe not names, but tell us about some stories that you've worked with and you've helped get these kids scholarships. You've helped them get them in college, and how did that make you feel, and how did it make those kids feel?
Well, the main thing is the fact that I do have a social work background. One thing that I do when I'm motivating or consulting with these kids is that I try to always use what we call in social work the solution focused therapy. Okay? You're not getting recruited by the schools that you want to, but look at what you've done so far. Look at the positives. Focus on the positive. Whatever's done in the past is done and it's not coming back. Okay? Focus on the positive. So what are some of these other schools, you know, out here that you may be open to going to? Okay? What are some of these other schools out here that offer what you want to study in as well? Okay? And I've had young men like Terrell Jackson from
Terrell Jackson
from Temple High School.
I love Terrell.
Very mannerable young man.
Oh, he's a great guy. Oh yeah.
He's a much better student than he is an athlete. Yeah. That's one thing I really appreciate about having the opportunity to work with him. And thank God he comes from a good family as well.
He does. Yeah, okay? He does.
So Terrell Jackson, that's one of the student athletes that
he's a good story.
I'm proud of. Yeah. Also, another young man that's graduating college. That just graduated college in mid-December by the name of Nick Trice from Harker Heights High School. A young man that had moved from Germany, had no, I guess, large amount of exposure prior to transitioning because his family was military. Right. We were able to make a lot of scouts aware of this young man as well, and he graduated from college in 3.5 years. So
awesome.
He had the mentality of, well, if I'm not going to be an NFL player, I'm going to at least be the best future businessman.
I think Terrell is a great example of what can happen when you get the right guidance. Here's a guy. Now, he was a really good athlete. Maybe not a great athlete, but he was definitely a really good athlete. High school team didn't do as well as he liked it. He actually played out of position. His in high school he played out of position. So, I've seen so many players like that not get scholarships. Because one, the team they're playing on is not very good. They're playing out of position. But this guy got some good advice. He has good parents. He's a great guy. He's a great. I wish my daughter was old enough because I want him to marry my daughter. But again, that's the kind of person that you really help. Who and he wouldn't have got a lot of exposure.
Right. And one thing I will say, I actually think Terrell was an outstanding athlete in high school, but just like you said,
out of position.
The team that he played on, and him being a quarterback, of course, kind of hurt him a lot in the recruiting process.
So so here it is. See, I saw him and I'm like, yeah, he's pretty good. But again, playing quarterback, I thought, he can't go D1 at quarterback. But you know what? As receiver, he turned out pretty good.
Exactly. And when you're playing quarterback, if you're running for your life every single day, it's gonna hurt you to an extent. Okay?
Yeah. So that's awesome. So Tony, let me ask you, if somebody wants to get in contact with you, whether it's a coach that's saying, wait a minute, I don't have time to do this, or I don't have these contacts. If you have contacts, there are some athletes on my team who are great kids. There might be a parent out there who's saying, you know what, my kid's a pretty good athlete, and I want to know what are his options, what are the opportunities that they have. How can they get in contact with you to get? You made a good statement earlier. You said it's not, it's all about who you know. Well, you do need to know the right people, but you need to know what too.
Exactly.
And many people don't know the what. You know the what. So if they want to know the what, if they need some consulting, some counseling, how can they get in contact with you?
Well, look, it's very simple. You can feel free to send an email to info@tasportsrecruiting.com, or feel free to view our website at tasportsrecruiting.com. And if you would like to just call and schedule a consulting session, our number is 254-493-7541. Again, that's 254-493-7541.
Okay. Now, Tony, let me ask you this, and let me say this too. He's not just a passionate guy. He's an educated man. He does have a degree from Prairie View in sociology, social work. So he knows what he's talking about. He's not just somebody who has a good heart. He does have a good heart. His heart's definitely in the right place, but he certainly has the education to back up what he's doing. Now, let me ask you this, Tony. Who motivated you? Who are some of the people, athletes, that just meant a great deal to you?
Well, once I moved to the Killeen area from Mobile, that's where I'm from originally. I used to keep a lot of newspaper articles on some of the star athletes.
Yeah.
And which, again, made me aware that this Central Texas area is filled with a lot of stud athletes. You had guys like Othello Henderson, a USA Today All-American.
Yeah.
Went on to UCLA and played for the New Orleans Saints for a number of years in the NFL. You had guys like Billy Spiller, one of the guys that I modeled myself on being a good track athlete, jumper, sprinter, like that was as good as well. You had DeCarlo Terry, one of the fastest guys to ever come through Central Texas. And you had Dion Marion, one of your top recruited student athletes to ever come through Central Texas.
Yeah.
So keeping up with those guys' accomplishments helped me as a young man to athletically try to set a bar as to where I wanted to be once they came through. Danny McCray was someone else that was a really good track runner. Now, of course, I wasn't as good as those guys, you know what I'm saying? But I was blessed to still have some major accomplishments at the All-State.
Oh, you did good. Oh, you did good. You did all right, man. You did all right. You being humble. Listen, we have to go. But what are your parting words to the student athlete who's saying, you know what? I'm not a superstar, but I really do want to play at the collegiate level. What would you tell that individual?
Well, number one, keep those prayers going. Okay.
Amen.
As long as there's a living God, which there always will be,
that's right,
there's always hope.
Okay.
Number two, make sure that you take full advantage of your academics.
Yes.
Okay. Trust me, being a class clown, there's no reward in that.
Yeah.
Okay. So make sure that you're doing what you have to do in that classroom,
right,
and work hard, young man, young woman. Work hard.
Yes.
I always say the best athletes generally are the athletes that are working when everyone else is sleeping. So keep that in mind. And you do these things and do them wholeheartedly and consistently. And believe me, young man and young woman, you can accomplish your goals.
Awesome. Tony, give us that website, email, and phone number again, because I know some people may have been going to get the pencil and pen and write it down. Give us that again so they can contact you.
Yes, sir. The website again is tasportsrecruiting.com. That's tasportsrecruiting.com, or info@tasportsrecruiting.com, which is the email. And also the phone number 254-493-7541.
Awesome. Tony, thank you so much for coming on our show. And guys, please take advantage of the services that he's offering. You thought you couldn't play sports? Hello, you can. This is Coach Collins with the 103.1 KISS FM Community Connection, reminding you it's amazing how much better you become when you first realize how good you already are. Until next week, God bless you.